She found the Korean Mafia boss unconscious inside a locked car. What she did next changed her life forever. The metal rod connected with the car window on Essence Monroe's third swing, and safety glass exploded inward, like crystallized rain. Her hands were shaking, partly from adrenaline, partly from the July heat beating down on this forgotten stretch of suburban road where nobody should have been dying. But the man slumped in the driver's seat of the black Lexus was definitely dying. Blue lips, shallow breathing, skin pale despite being Korean. Carbon monoxide poisoning, maybe. Overdose. Suicide attempt. Essence didn't know and didn't care. She just knew she had 15 seconds before brain damage became permanent. She reached through the shattered window, fumbling for the lock, cut her arm on remaining glass, pain registering distantly, and yanked the door open. The man collapsed sideways into her arms, dead weight, expensive cologne mixed with the chemical smell of exhaust. Up close, she could see the tattoo crawling up his neck. Korean characters in elegant script. Black ink stark against skin that should have been warmer. His suit probably cost more than her car. His watch definitely did. And he wasn't breathing right. Come on, Essence muttered, dragging him onto the cracked asphalt. Her nursing school training kicked in. Check airway, check pulse, start rescue breathing. She tilted his head back, pinched his nose, and breathed for him. Once, twice. His chest rose and fell with her efforts. She checked his pulse again. Thready, but there. Don't you dare die on me. Don't you fucking dare. 3 breaths later, he convulsed, coughed. His eyes flew open. Dark, disoriented, absolutely terrified. And his hands shot out, grabbing her wrist with enough force to bruise. Essence yelped but didn't pull away. You're okay, she said firmly. You were in a locked car. Carbon monoxide. I got you out. You're breathing. You're safe. He stared at her like she was speaking another language. Maybe she was. His lips moved, forming words in Korean that she couldn't understand. But then his eyes rolled back, and he was unconscious again. Essence's phone was already in her hand, dialing 911, giving the location to a bored-sounding dispatcher who promised an ambulance in 15 minutes. 15 minutes in this heat, with a man who'd nearly died. She looked down at him, really looked, and felt something shift in her chest. He was beautiful in that devastating way some men were. Sharp jaw, elegant features, but softened by vulnerability. The neck tattoo suggested danger, but his expensive suit suggested power. And the fact that he'd been alone in a locked car on a forgotten road suggested desperation. Who are you? She whispered, brushing dark hair from his forehead. His skin was warming under her touch, color returning slowly. And what were you running from? The ambulance arrived 12 minutes later. Paramedics loaded the unconscious man onto a stretcher while a younger EMT bandaged Essence's arm. You saved his life, she said, efficient and impressed. Another 5 minutes and he'd have been gone. Is he going to be okay? Essence asked. Should be. You got to him in time. Do you know him? Family we should contact? No, I was just driving by, saw the car running with the windows up, and Essence trailed off. She'd been driving back from a catering shift, her second job, the one that paid for nursing school, when something made her slow down. Instinct, divine intervention, dumb luck. Whatever it was, it had saved a stranger's life. Well, he's lucky you did. The EMT smiled. Most people would have kept driving. Most people would have. Essence watched them load the man into the ambulance, watched it pull away with lights flashing but no sirens. And she told herself that was it. Good deed done. Life saved. Move on. But as she swept glass from her back seat and drove toward her apartment in Inglewood, she couldn't stop thinking about those terrified eyes and the tattoo that marked him as someone dangerous. She didn't expect to see him again. But 3 days later, he walked into Lucille's, the soul food restaurant where Essence worked 6 shifts a week, and her world tilted sideways. He looked different, healthy, color in his cheeks, confidence in his stride. The suit was different but equally expensive, and his eyes scanned the room with predatory awareness before landing on her. Recognition flared. He crossed the restaurant in 4 long strides, ignoring the hostess who tried to intercept him, and stopped at Essence's station. Up close, conscious and vertical, he was even more devastating. The neck tattoo was visible above his collar. She could see now it said something about loyalty and blood. His jaw was sharp enough to cut, his eyes dark enough to drown in. You saved my life, he said. American accent, but with an edge that suggested English wasn't his first language. His voice was deeper than she'd expected, rough like he didn't use it often. I did my job. Essence kept her voice professional, aware that her manager was watching. I'm glad you're okay. Your job is waitressing. Saving lives is significantly above your pay grade. He pulled out a chair at her table, her section, but she hadn't seated him, and sat. Sit with me, please. I'm working. I'll pay for your entire shift. He pulled out a wallet and extracted a thick stack of hundreds. Whatever you'd make in tips today, plus lost wages. Name your price. Essence's pride warred with practicality. She'd made $73 in tips yesterday, working a double. This man was offering, she couldn't even calculate. That's not necessary. I'm happy you're alive. That's enough. It's not enough for me. He leaned forward, intensity radiating from him. You broke a car window with a metal rod, cut your arm open, gave me rescue breathing on hot asphalt, and then you left before the ambulance arrived. No name, no contact information. Do you know how hard you are to find? I wasn't trying to be found. Clearly, I've had people searching for 3 days. Finally had to check security footage from every business within 2 miles of that road. Found your license plate, traced it to you. Essence Monroe, 26, nursing student, works 2 jobs, lives in a studio apartment in Inglewood. He recited the information like he was reading a dossier. You're very difficult to track when you don't want to be tracked. Alarm bells clanged in Essence's head. That's stalking. That's illegal. So is breaking someone's car window. But his smile took the edge off. I'm not here to threaten you. I'm here to thank you. And to ask why you saved a stranger. Because you needed saving. Essence glanced at her manager, who was making pointed gestures toward the kitchen. Look, I really need to work. If you want to eat, I can take your order. If not, lunch for 2, whatever you recommend. He gestured to the empty chair across from him. And your company. I'm serious about paying for your shift. I have money I need to repay a debt. Something in his tone made Essence pause. Not entitlement, not arrogance. Something deeper. Desperation, maybe. Or genuine gratitude that didn't know how to express itself except through money. She looked at his face. Really looked. And saw exhaustion beneath the polish. Shadows under his eyes. A tightness around his mouth. 20 minutes, she said finally. I'll take my break. You'll eat. We'll talk. Then you'll leave, and we'll call it even. His smile transformed his face from handsome to absolutely devastating. Deal. Essence brought out her favorites. Fried chicken that had made Lucille's famous collard greens cooked with smoked turkey. Mac and cheese that was basically heart disease in a bowl. Cornbread that melted on your tongue. She sat across from him and watched him take his first bite. His eyes widened. This is incredible. Best soul food in LA, maybe in California. Essence allowed herself a small smile. So, you track me down. You know my name, where I live, where I work. Seems unfair that I don't even know yours. Yoon, Jae Sung. He offered his hand formally. Most people call me Jay. What do your friends call you? I don't have friends. He said it matter-of-factly without self-pity. I have associates, employees, family, but not friends. That's sad. That's reality. He took another bite, chewing thoughtfully. My world doesn't allow for friendship. Too much liability. Too much risk. What world is that? Essence asked, though she suspected she already knew. The tattoo, the money, the way he held himself like violence was always an option. Jay met her eyes directly. I run a Korean organized crime syndicate in Los Angeles. What you'd call the Mafia. My family has controlled operations here for 20 years. I inherited leadership when my father was killed 3 years ago. He said it like he was discussing the weather. So now you know. I'm a criminal, the kind of man respectable women cross the street to avoid. Essence should have been shocked, scared. Instead, she found herself asking, is that why you were in that car? Some kind of gang thing? Something flickered across Jay's face. Pain quickly suppressed. No, that was personal. A moment of weakness I'm not proud of. You tried to kill yourself. I considered it. He set down his fork carefully. My younger brother died 2 weeks ago, shot by rivals while I was in a meeting across town. He was 23, still in college, not involved in the business. Just collateral damage because he had my last name. The grief in his voice was raw, unfiltered. Essence felt her heart crack. I'm so sorry. Everyone's sorry. Sorry doesn't bring him back. Sorry doesn't change that I put him in danger just by existing. Jay's jaw clenched. I was driving, thinking about how to retaliate, planning the war I'd wage. And then I realized, more death won't fix this, won't bring him back, won't make the pain stop. So I pulled over on that empty road, closed the windows and let the engine run. But you didn't go through with it. Because you shattered my window and dragged me onto hot asphalt and breathed life back into me. His eyes held hers. You saved me, Essence. Not just my life. You saved me from myself, from making a choice I couldn't take back. The restaurant noise faded. Essence was aware of nothing except this man and his pain, and the way he looked at her like she was some kind of miracle. What happened after? After the hospital? I buried my brother, made arrangements, and realized I wanted to thank the woman who gave me the chance to honor him properly. Jay leaned forward. So here I am, asking what I can do to repay you. You don't owe me anything. I owe you everything. His intensity was almost frightening. Name it. Money, favors, anything within my power. I pay my debts. Essence thought about her student loans, her mother's medical bills from the cancer treatments, her car that needed new tires, all the ways money could ease her life. But looking at Jay's face, seeing the grief and guilt and desperate need to make something right, she knew what he really needed. Have dinner with me, she said. A real dinner. Not payment, not debt. Just two people getting to know each other. That's what I want. Jay blinked, clearly surprised. That's all? That's everything. You said you don't have friends. Maybe you need one. For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then slowly he smiled. A real smile, not the polished mask. Okay. Dinner. When? Friday, 7. And Jay? Essence stood, her break ending. Come as yourself. Not the boss, not the criminal. Just you. I'm not sure I know who that is anymore. Then we'll figure it out together. Friday came wrapped in Los Angeles summer heat. Essence changed outfits 4 times before settling on a yellow sundress that made her dark skin glow. She told herself this wasn't a date, just dinner with someone who needed a friend. But her racing heart and careful makeup suggested otherwise. Jay picked her up in a different car, a BMW, black and sleek, but not ostentatious. He wore jeans and a black button-down with the sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms marked with more tattoos. Without the suit, he looked younger, more human, and somehow even more dangerous. You clean up nice, Essence said, climbing into the passenger seat. So do you. His eyes traveled over her appreciatively, but respectfully. Yellow is your color. They drove to a small Ethiopian restaurant in Little Ethiopia, the kind of place with injera bread and communal plates and flavors that exploded on your tongue. Jay admitted he'd never had Ethiopian food, had barely ventured outside Korean and American cuisine, and Essence took joy in watching him discover new tastes. Tell me about nursing school, he said, tearing off a piece of injera to scoop up Dora Watt. It's hard, expensive. Sometimes I think I'm crazy for trying. Essence shrugged. But I want to help people. My grandmother died because she couldn't afford her medication. She rationed insulin, and it killed her. I watched her suffer, and I couldn't do anything. Now I can. That's why you stopped. That day on the road. Not everyone would have. I couldn't not stop. What kind of person sees someone dying and drives past? She met his eyes. What kind of person becomes a nurse but ignores someone who needs help? A smart one, a safe one. Jay's expression was unreadable. My world is full of people who drive past, who look away, who choose safety over righteousness. You're different. So are you. You could have stayed in that car, could have let it end, but some part of you wanted to live. Some part of me was terrified of disappointing my brother's memory. He looked down at his plate. Duyun wanted me to leave the business, go legitimate. He said I was better than our father's legacy. I told him it was impossible, that I was born into this life and would die in it. Then he died and I realized he was right. This life is a curse, so leave it. It's not that simple. I have responsibilities, people who depend on me. Walking away means abandoning them, means potential war as others fight for control, means people I care about could die. But staying means more of the same, more violence, more loss. Eventually you'll end up back in that car. Essence reached across the table, taking his hand. Jay, you get one life, one chance. Your brother wanted you to have more than this. Honor that. Choose differently. His fingers tightened around hers. You make it sound easy. I didn't say easy. I said worth it. They talked for hours about his brother, her family, their childhoods. His in Seoul until age 12, then Los Angeles when his father expanded operations. Hers in South Central, raised by a single mother who worked 3 jobs. They discovered unexpected commonalities. Both loved old movies, both hated mushrooms. Both felt trapped by circumstances beyond their control. Walk with me? Jay asked when they finally left the restaurant. The sun was setting, painting LA's sky in oranges and purples. They wandered through the neighborhood, past murals and small shops and families enjoying the cooling evening. Jay stayed alert. Essence noticed how his eyes constantly scanned, how he positioned himself between her and the street, how his body language shifted when groups of men passed. Hypervigilance born from years of danger. Do you ever relax? She asked. Not really. Can't afford to. That's exhausting. That's survival. He stopped walking, turning to face her. Essence, I need you to understand something. Being around me is dangerous. My enemies won't care that you're innocent. They'll see you as leverage, as a way to hurt me. If we keep seeing each other, are you trying to scare me away? I'm trying to protect you. By pushing me away before anything even starts? Essence moved closer. Jay, I'm not stupid. I know you're dangerous. I know your life is complicated. But here's the thing. I saved your life. That means something to me. You mean something to me. And I'm not walking away just because things might get hard. You don't know what you're signing up for. Then show me. Let me decide for myself. He looked at her for a long moment, war playing out across his features. Then he cupped her face gently, thumbs brushing her cheekbones. You're going to ruin me, Essence Monroe. Good. You need ruining. He kissed her then, soft and searching and tentative, like he'd forgotten how. Essence kissed him back, tasting possibility and danger, and something that felt dangerously like destiny. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Jay pressed his forehead to hers. I can't promise you safe. I can't promise you easy. I don't want safe or easy. I want real. Then real is what you'll get. The next 3 months were a masterclass in compartmentalization. Essence continued nursing school and working at Lucille's, maintaining her normal life while secretly dating a man who ran a criminal empire. Jay kept his promise, showed her his real world, the good and the horrifying. She met his mother, an elegant woman who spoke limited English, but communicated volumes with her eyes. Met his lieutenants, hard men who treated Essence with careful respect because their boss clearly cared for her. Learned about the legitimate businesses fronting illegal operations, saw the weapons, the money, the infrastructure of organized crime, and she saw the other side. The community programs Jay funded anonymously, the scholarships for Korean American kids, the protection he offered to immigrant families being exploited, the way he settled disputes to prevent violence when possible. He was complex, criminal and protector, dangerous and gentle, ruthless and surprisingly tender. But tension built beneath their happiness. Rival organizations noticed Jay's new relationship. The black woman he picked up from work, who he brought to family dinners, who made him smile in ways they'd never seen. And some saw opportunity. The first threat came via text. Pretty girlfriend. Would be a shame if something happened to her. Jay's face went white reading it. He immediately tripled Essence's security. Guards she hadn't known existed became visible. Shadows that followed her everywhere. This is insane, Essence said when she noticed the tale. Jay, I can't live like this. You have to, just until I handle this threat. Handle it how? More violence? More death? If necessary, yes. His expression was granite. I won't lose you. I can't. They fought, their first real fight, about methods and morality. Essence wanted him to find peaceful solutions. Jay insisted sometimes violence was the only language his world understood. They reached an impasse, tension crackling between them. I'm not asking you to change who you are, Essence said, finally exhausted. I'm asking you to consider that there might be another way, that your brother might have been right about leaving this life. And I'm asking you to trust that I know my world better than you do. Jay's voice was cold. This isn't your decision to make. It is when it affects my life, when I'm the one being threatened. They stared at each other across his penthouse, The luxury apartment that felt like a gilded cage. Finally, Jay's shoulders slumped. I'm sorry, you're right. You should have a say in how we handle this. So what do? We meet with them, the rival organization, negotiate terms, make it clear you're protected without starting a war. Is that safe? Nothing about this is safe, but it's smarter than bullets. The meeting was arranged for neutral territory, a warehouse in Vernon, industrial and isolated. Essence insisted on coming, against Jay's vehement protests. If they're threatening me, I get to face them, she'd argued. I'm not hiding while men decide my fate. The rival boss was a man named Chen Wei, Chinese, mid-40s, with cold eyes and colder smile. He brought 4 men. Jay brought 6, including his head of security, a scarred man named Park Min-ho, who looked like he ate nails for breakfast. So, Chen said in accented English, looking Essence up and down with insulting slowness. This is the woman worth all this fuss. I expected someone more impressive. I expected someone less racist. Essence shot back before Jay could respond. But here we are, disappointing each other. Chen's smile widened, but didn't reach his eyes. I like her. She has spine. Shame she's involved with you, Yoon. Could have used someone with her courage. She's not a chess piece. Jay's voice was lethal quiet. She's off limits, permanently. That's why we're here, to make that crystal clear. And if I refuse to acknowledge these limits, then I'll burn your operation to the ground. No hesitation, no bluff. Starting with your heroin distribution network, moving through your human trafficking routes, ending with your money laundering fronts. I'll dismantle everything your family built, and I'll do it in a way that ensures you watch every piece fall. Silence. Chen studied Jay with new assessment. You'd start a war over a woman? I'd end a world for her. Something passed between the two men. Understanding, perhaps. Recognition of someone serious enough to follow through. Chen nodded slowly. Very well. The woman is protected. My organization won't touch her. In exchange? No exchange. This isn't a negotiation. This is me telling you how things are. You're making demands without offering anything in return? I'm offering you continued existence. That seems generous. More silence. Then Chen laughed, genuinely amused. Your father would be proud, or horrified. Hard to tell with that man. He stood, buttoning his jacket. Fine, the woman is untouchable. But Yoon, remember, everyone has pressure points. Today it's her. Tomorrow, who knows? Don't make so many that I'm tempted to push them. They left without handshakes or pleasantries. In the car, Essence released a breath she hadn't known she was holding. That was terrifying. That was restrained. Chen respects strength. If I'd shown weakness, negotiated, he'd have seen opportunity. Jay's hands were tight on the steering wheel. Essence, I need you to understand, this is temporary. Chen backed off because I made the cost too high. But others will test me. Being with me means constant threats. Then maybe it's time to stop being such an appealing target. Meaning, what if your brother was right? What if you could leave this life? Build something different? Jay was quiet for a long moment. I've been thinking about that, about what leaving would look like. Essence's heart jumped. Really? Really? I have enough legitimate businesses to walk away clean. Could sell off the illegal operations, pass leadership to someone else. It's possible. He glanced at her. But it would take time, planning, and I'd need a reason strong enough to make it worth the risk. What kind of reason? A future worth fighting for. Something besides violence and survival. His hand found hers. Someone who makes me want to be better than my father's legacy. That sounds like it could be me. That sounds exactly like you. But good intentions met brutal reality 2 weeks later. Essence was leaving class, late night session, campus mostly empty. When a van pulled up, 4 men emerged, moving with coordinated precision. She ran, screaming, but strong hands grabbed her. Chloroform pressed against her face. Darkness swallowed her whole. She woke to industrial lighting and concrete walls. Her head pounded. Zip ties cut into her wrists. And sitting across from her, looking almost apologetic, was Chen Wei. I'm sorry about this, he said conversationally. I genuinely am. You seem like a nice woman. Wrong place, wrong man, wrong time. Jay will kill you. Essence's voice was hoarse from screaming. Probably, but first he'll give me what I want. Access to his ports, his distribution networks, his contacts. He'll hand over his entire operation to save you. Chen sipped tea delicately. Love makes people so predictable, so weak. He'll never give you anything. He will, because I sent him proof I have you, and because every hour he doesn't comply, I hurt you a little more. Chen stood, nodding to his men. Start with fingers. He doesn't need to see her face to know she's suffering. Pain exploded through Essence's left hand as one of the men grabbed her pinky finger and bent it back until something cracked. She screamed, couldn't help it, the sound tearing from her throat. Through tears, she saw Chen recording on his phone. 9 more fingers, Yoon, Chen said pleasantly into the camera. Then toes. Then I get creative. You have 24 hours to transfer everything. Clock's ticking. Jay's world ended watching that video. Essence's scream, her broken finger, her terrified eyes. He played it 3 times before Park Min-ho physically took his phone away. Boss, we need to think strategically. Strategically? Jay's voice was dead. He has Essence. He's torturing her. There's no strategy except giving him what he wants. If you give him your operation, he'll kill her anyway. And you. And probably start a war that destroys everything your father built. Min-ho gripped Jay's shoulders. We find her. We extract her. We make Chen regret he was ever born. How? He could have her anywhere. We have 24 hours before... Jay couldn't finish. Before more pain, more broken bones, more screams. Then we use those 24 hours. We have informants in Chen's organization, people who owe us favors. We find her, we get her out, and we end this. Jay looked at Min-ho, his father's most loyal soldier, the man who taught him to fight, to lead, to survive. Do it. Use every resource. Call in every favor. Burn every bridge if you have to. Just find her. And when we do, what happens to Chen? Jay's expression turned glacial. I'm going to make him beg for the death I give him. Essence faded in and out of consciousness. Her hands screamed agony. They'd broken 2 more fingers, systematically, clinically, while recording everything. She tried not to scream, tried to deny Chen the satisfaction, but pain overrode dignity. Between torture sessions, she was left alone in the cold room, hands bound, body aching. She thought about Jay, hoped he wouldn't give Chen what he wanted, hoped he'd choose his operation, his legacy over her. Because if he gave in, they'd both die anyway. Chen wouldn't leave witnesses, wouldn't allow Jay to live knowing he'd been humiliated. This was a death sentence wearing the mask of negotiation. The door opened. Not Chen this time, but a younger man, early 20s, nervous energy, Korean. He glanced over his shoulder before approaching. Your Essence? He whispered in Korean accented English. She nodded, wary. Yoon Do-yoon saved my sister. 2 years ago. Scholarship to USC. Got her out of bad situation. His hands shook as he pulled out a knife. I pay debt now. Get you out. Hope flared, painful in its intensity. You'll be killed. Maybe. But Do-yoon died protecting someone weak. I be strong. Protect someone like you. He cut her zip ties. Can you walk? Essence stood on shaking legs. Her broken fingers throbbed. Where are we? Warehouse in Vernon. Chen's territory. Very dangerous. But I know way out. Loading dock. No cameras. He handed her his jacket. You run when I say. Don't stop. Understand? What's your name? Ji-hoon. But don't remember it. Don't tell anyone. Just run. They moved through corridors, Ji-hoon leading with confident familiarity. Essence tried not to think about her hand, about the pain radiating up her arm, tried to focus on putting one foot in front of the other. Freedom was close. Survival was possible. Then alarms blared. Ji-hoon cursed in Korean, grabbing her good hand. Now! Run now! They burst through a side door into Los Angeles night. Industrial area, few lights, the distant hum of the 710 freeway. Essence ran, ignoring pain, ignoring the shouts behind them. Ji-hoon pulled her between warehouses, through alleys toward headlights. A car screeched to a halt, and Essence nearly collapsed with relief as Jay emerged. He took one look at her, bloody, broken, but alive, and something in his face shattered. Then he was pulling her close, gentle despite the violence she knew he was capable of. Ji-hoon? He asked, looking past her at the young man. For Do-yoon, we even now? Jay nodded once, understanding passing between them. Get out of here. Disappear. I'll make sure Chen never finds you. Ji-hoon vanished into shadows. Jay lifted Essence into the car where Minho waited at the wheel. Hospital, Jay ordered. No. Essence grabbed his shirt with her good hand. Chen will have people watching hospitals. Somewhere safe first. Your hand can wait. I'm not dying. Just get me somewhere safe. They drove to one of Jay's safe houses, a nondescript house in Koreatown. Inside, Jay had a doctor on call, a nervous man who asked no questions as he examined Essence's hand, setting broken bones with professional efficiency. 3 breaks, clean but painful. She'll need physical therapy. No permanent damage if she follows treatment. The doctor packed his supplies. You're lucky, miss. Very lucky. Lucky? Essence nearly laughed. She'd been kidnapped, tortured, and traumatized. But she was alive, which in Jay's world probably did qualify as lucky. When the doctor left, Jay knelt beside the couch where Essence lay. His hands were shaking as he touched her face, her hair, like he needed to confirm she was real. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. This is my fault. Everything... Stop. Essence caught his hand with her good one. I chose this. Chose you. Knew the risks. You didn't know this. No one should... His voice broke. When I saw that video, saw what he did to you, I realized I've been lying to myself, telling myself I could have you in this life, that I could protect you while staying in this world. But I can't. I can't keep you safe and remain who I am. So who do you want to be? Jay looked at her, really looked, and she saw the decision crystallize. Someone worthy of you, someone who builds instead of destroys, someone my brother would be proud of. And Chen? Has to be dealt with. But after that, he pressed his forehead to hers carefully. After that, I'm done. I'm walking away from all of it, finding a different path. Will you walk it with me? Yes, but Jay, Chen won't let you walk away. He'll see it as weakness. Then I'll make sure he can't see anything ever again. Chen Wei died 3 days later. Not in a hail of bullets or a dramatic showdown, but quietly. Poison in his morning tea, delivered by someone he trusted. A quick death, more mercy than he deserved, but Jay wasn't interested in prolonged revenge. Just removal of the threat. The power vacuum created chaos. Jay used it, negotiating with Chen's lieutenants, offering them pieces of his own operation in exchange for peace. He dismantled his illegal enterprises methodically, selling assets, passing leadership to carefully chosen successors. It took 3 months of careful maneuvering, dangerous negotiations, and strategic alliances. But by autumn, Yoon Jae-sung no longer existed as a crime boss. He was just Jay, owner of legitimate import businesses, real estate investor, philanthropist funding scholarships in his brother's name. The transition cost him relationships, money, and standing in the underworld. But it gained him something invaluable: freedom. Essence was there through all of it. Her hand healed slowly, physical therapy sessions painful but productive. She finished nursing school despite missing classes for security concerns, and she watched Jay transform from the dangerous man in a locked car to someone who could breathe without constantly watching shadows. You did it, she said one evening as they sat on the balcony of their apartment. Her apartment in Inglewood sat empty now, though she hadn't officially moved. Hadn't quite believed this was permanent until now. You actually left. We did it. Jay pulled her close. I couldn't have done this without you, without a reason to be better. So what now? What do normal people do? No idea. I've never been normal. He smiled, the expression coming more easily now. But I'd like to try. Maybe start with traditional dating. Take you to movies. Meet your mother properly without armed guards. Propose without worrying about snipers. Essence's heart stuttered. Propose? Eventually, if you'll have me. Reformed criminal, traumatized soul, deeply in love with the woman who saved him in every possible way. He turned to face her. I know it's fast. I know I come with baggage. But Essence, you're the reason I'm alive. The reason I chose differently. The reason I believe in futures instead of just surviving. Jay, you don't have to answer now. I just wanted you to know. I'm all in. This isn't temporary or convenient. You're my endgame. Essence looked at him. This complicated, dangerous, gentle man who'd nearly died and chosen to live differently. Who'd walked away from power for the possibility of peace. Who looked at her like she was his reason for everything. And she knew. Ask me now. What? You said eventually. I'm saying now. Ask me now. Jay's eyes widened. I don't have a ring. I didn't plan. I don't need a ring. I need an answer to give. She smiled. So ask. He slid off the couch, kneeling in front of her, the way she'd imagined in secret moments she'd never admitted to. His hands found hers, careful of the healing fingers, and he looked at her with devastating sincerity. Essence Monroe, you broke my car window and dragged me back from death. You saw the worst parts of my world and didn't run. You challenged me to be better and believed I could be. You're the strongest, bravest, most beautiful person I've ever known. His voice roughened with emotion. Will you marry me? Build a life with me? Let me spend the rest of my existence proving I'm worth the second chance you gave me? Yes. No hesitation. Yes to all of it. He kissed her then, and Essence tasted salt. His tears or hers, she couldn't tell. Didn't matter. They were building something new from the broken pieces of who they'd been. The crime boss who'd wanted to die, and the nursing student who wouldn't let him. Two people from different worlds who'd found each other on a lonely suburban road at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday in July. They married 6 months later. Small ceremony in Essence's mother's backyard. Nothing like the elaborate weddings Jay's family expected. Essence's mother cried, happy tears for once, watching her daughter marry a man who'd left everything to build something new. Jay's mother attended too, elegant and reserved, but she hugged Essence afterward and whispered in Korean that Do-Yun would have loved her. Essence wore yellow, the color Jay said made her glow. Jay wore a suit without concealed weapons for the first time in years, though Minho stood nearby just in case. Old habits died hard, but there were no threats, no violence, no shadows. Just two people choosing each other in front of everyone who mattered. The vows were simple. I promise to see you, Essence said. The whole you. Light and shadow, strength and vulnerability, and to build a life where both of us can be fully ourselves. I promise to be worthy of you, Jay said. To choose differently every day, to build instead of destroy, and to remember that the best decision I ever made was pulling over on a random road and reconsidering everything. Second best, Essence corrected with a smile. The best decision was letting me save you. Same decision, really. I pulled over. You saved me. We saved each other. They kissed as husband and wife, and Essence felt complete for the first time in her life. Not because she'd found a man, but because she'd found her person, the one who saw her strength and didn't minimize it, who needed her and wasn't ashamed of it, who changed everything because she'd asked him to. Years passed, bringing changes neither could have predicted. Essence became head nurse at a community health clinic, the one Jay funded anonymously, but she ran independently. She made sure the clinic served everyone, regardless of ability to pay. Made sure people like her grandmother got the care they needed. Jay built a consulting business, helping immigrants start legitimate companies. Used his connections and knowledge without the violence. Found purpose in building up instead of tearing down. He spoke at community events, mentored young Korean Americans, created scholarships, became someone his brother would have been proud of. They had 3 children eventually, 2 boys and a girl, loud and chaotic and perfect. Essence's mother spoiled them outrageously. Jay's mother taught them Korean and told them stories about their uncle Do-Yun, who they'd never met but knew through love. The kids grew up knowing their father had lived a different life before, that he'd made bad choices and found his way back to good ones. Do you miss it? Essence asked one night, watching Jay help their oldest with homework. The power, the control, all of it. He looked up, considering. Sometimes I miss the certainty, knowing my place in the world, but then I look at you, at them, at this life we built. He shook his head. No, I don't miss it. I'm grateful it's gone. That version of me was dying slowly. You saved me from that death too. We saved each other. We really did. They told the story sometimes to friends who asked how they met. Essence would talk about driving past a locked car, something making her stop, the metal rod connecting with glass. Jay would add details about waking up on hot asphalt to the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen, literally breathing life into him. The kids loved the story, especially the part where Mom broke a window like a superhero. But there were details they never shared. The torture, the kidnapping, the bodies Jay left behind. The nightmares Essence still had sometimes, the way they both startled at sudden noises, the therapy sessions that helped them process trauma, the hard work of building trust when both had reasons to doubt. Those parts were theirs alone. private pieces of the foundation beneath their happiness. Reminders that good endings weren't easy, that choosing differently required constant effort, that love wasn't magic, it was work. On their 10th anniversary, Jay took Essence back to that suburban road. It had changed, developed, no longer lonely. Houses where there'd been empty lots, traffic where there'd been silence. But the spot was still there, the place where everything had pivoted. "Would you do it again?" he asked, standing where the car had been. "Knowing everything that would happen? The pain, the danger, all of it?" Essence thought about broken fingers and gunfire, about terror and trauma, about the man who'd nearly died and chose to live differently, about the life they'd built from ruins, about 3 kids and a future that got brighter every year. "I'd break that window every single time," she said, "because you were worth saving. We were worth fighting for. This," she gestured to encompass not just the road, but everything it represented. "All of this was worth every hard moment." "I love you," Jay said, the words still sounding like wonder even after 10 years. "Thank you for stopping, for breaking my window, for breaking through every wall I built, for seeing someone worth saving when I'd given up on myself. I love you too. Thank you for choosing to live, for choosing differently, for building this beautiful life with me." They stood there as cars passed, ordinary people living ordinary lives, with no idea this unremarkable stretch of road had been the site of multiple miracles. A suicide prevented, a life redirected, love found in the most unlikely place, 2 people who needed saving and saved each other. "Come on," Essence said, finally taking his hand. "Let's go home." Home. Not his penthouse or her studio apartment, but the house they'd bought in View Park, the one with a yard where kids played and a kitchen where they cooked together, and a life that felt earned. They'd come from darkness, his brother's death, her grandmother's loss, the violence they'd both survived, but they'd walked toward light together. 20 years later, Essence walked through the community health clinic's new wing, funded by the Yundayun Memorial Foundation, run with Jay's business acumen and her medical expertise. They'd built something lasting, something good, a legacy that honored the brother who'd wanted better for Jay and the grandmother who'd deserved better care. Jay was there for the ribbon cutting, older now but still handsome. The neck tattoo faded but visible. He caught her eye across the crowd and smiled. That private smile reserved just for her. And Essence felt the same electricity she'd felt breaking that car window, dragging him onto hot asphalt, breathing life into a stranger who'd become everything. "Thank you all for coming," she said to the gathered crowd. Politicians, community leaders, patients, friends. This clinic represents something important, second chances. We all deserve them. The chance to try again, to choose differently, to become better than we were. My husband taught me that, and today we offer that same chance to everyone who walks through these doors. The crowd applauded. Jay stepped up beside her, their children and grandchildren in the front row. He whispered so only she could hear, "Still breaking windows and saving lives. That's my wife." "Always," she whispered back. "That's what I do." They cut the ribbon together, the metal scissors a far cry from the metal rod that had started everything. But the principle was the same, breaking through barriers to reach people who needed help, shattering obstacles to create possibility, refusing to drive past when someone needed saving. That night in their bedroom, Jay held Essence close. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd driven past? If you'd chosen safety over stopping?" "Every day," Essence admitted. "And every day I'm grateful I didn't. Because you gave me a life beyond my wildest dreams. Adventure and partnership and a love that feels impossible. You gave me life, period. Then you gave me a reason to live it fully." He kissed her forehead. "Best decision I never made. Trying to end things that day. Because it brought you crashing into my world, literally." They fell asleep tangled together, 2 people who'd found each other in darkness and built a life in light. The crime boss who walked away and the nursing student who wouldn't let him die. Their story wasn't traditional or simple or easy, but it was real and it was theirs. And it had started with a woman who saw someone suffering and simply couldn't drive past. Because that's who Essence Monroe had always been. Someone who broke windows when necessary, who saved lives because she could, who chose courage over safety. And that's who she'd raised her children to be, who she'd inspired her patients to become, who she'd helped her husband transform into. The metal rod that shattered that window had shattered everything else too. Jay's death wish, his commitment to violence, his resignation to a life half-lived. And from those shattered pieces, they'd built something beautiful. Partnership, family purpose, love. Essence's last thought before sleep was gratitude. For instinct that made her slow down. For courage that made her stop. For stubbornness that wouldn't let a stranger die alone in a locked car on a lonely road at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday in July. That single choice had cascaded into decades of meaning, and somewhere she liked to think Do-Yoon knew. That he looked down and saw his brother happy, building instead of destroying, loving instead of surviving. That he saw the clinic bearing his name, saving people who might otherwise fall through cracks. That he understood his death hadn't been meaningless. It had catalyzed transformation. The next morning, Essence found Jay on their balcony, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise. She joined him, her own mug warming her hands. They stood in comfortable silence, the kind earned through years of partnership. "What are you thinking about?" she finally asked. "That suburban road, that moment, how my entire life pivoted on your decision to stop." He turned to her. "How many people drove past before you? How close did I come to succeeding? But you didn't. I stopped. We're here." "We're here," he echoed, "building clinics and raising grandchildren and growing old together. Living the life my brother wanted for me. The life I didn't believe I deserved." "You deserve it. You earned it by choosing differently every single day since." "We earned it," Jay corrected, pulling her close. "Together, like everything else." And standing there in morning light, Essence reflected on the journey, from waitress to head nurse, from survival to purpose, from broken-fingered and traumatized to healed and whole. The path hadn't been straight or easy, but it had been worth every hard step, because she'd saved a man who needed saving. And he'd saved her right back, from a life of just getting by, from accepting less than she deserved, from believing love required sacrifice of self. Together, they'd proved that transformation was possible, that second chances mattered, that choosing differently could change everything. Their story started with broken glass and ended with broken cycles, with a locked car on a lonely road and a woman who simply couldn't drive past someone in pain. With death reconsidered and life rebuilt, with darkness transformed into light, one brave choice at a time. And if anyone asked, and people often did, drawn by the unlikely beauty of their love story, Essence always said the same thing. "I saw someone who needed help, and I helped. That's all." Everything else followed from that single moment of choosing compassion over convenience. But she knew it was more. Knew it was destiny or fate, or the universe aligning. Knew that some encounters change everything. That some broken windows lead to broken curses. That some lives are meant to intersect and transform each other. She'd discovered a Korean Mafia boss, passed out in a locked car, broken the window, saved his life, and found her own in the process. And what happened next didn't just change her life. It created it, built it from nothing into something beautiful and lasting and real. That was their story. The black waitress and the Korean crime boss. The metal rod and the shattered glass. The woman who wouldn't drive past and the man who learned to live instead of just survive. Two people who met at rock bottom and climbed toward light together. And every morning waking up beside him, Essence gave thanks for that suburban road, that locked car, that moment when compassion overrode self-preservation. Because breaking that window had broken everything else open too. Possibility, future, love, life itself. The best decision she ever made wasn't going to nursing school or leaving Devon or any of the conventionally smart choices. It was stopping for a stranger, breaking glass with a metal rod, and refusing to let someone die alone just because it was safer to keep driving. That single choice had created everything that mattered. Love, family, purpose, legacy. And given the choice again, knowing everything that would follow, the pain and danger and hard transformation, Essence would make the same decision every single time. Because some people are worth saving, some windows need breaking, some lives are meant to intersect and change each other forever. And sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is exactly what needs doing. That's what Essence Monroe discovered on a lonely suburban road at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday in July. And that discovery became her life, her love, her legacy. Everything beautiful built from one moment of breaking through barriers to reach someone who desperately needed saving.